is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. I'm so excited to share with you guys another week of yummy and nourishing meals. And if you guys watched my last What I Eat in a Week video, you guys know that in 2022 I'm really just trying to focus more on my health and my wellness, taking really good care of myself. And I've just been trying to do some experimenting with my diet, seeing what works for me, what makes me feel my best. But I know that we are all super excited to get into the food, so let's just get into it. What better way to kick off the week than with some oats? You guys know I love my oatmeal in the mornings, but I'm also a little bit high maintenance, so I like to add a bunch of different things to them. I like to add some flax seeds, and I try and grind those fresh every morning just to prevent any oxidation. I've also been adding some maca, some coconut sugar for sweetness, and some collagen. I just find when I add a lot more fat and protein to my oats, it really helps with my satiety. And of course, we cannot forget the toppings. So I just topped those off with some stewed apples, some chia pudding that I made over the weekend, some stewed blueberries, and some walnuts. And it was a great way to kick off the week.
Just passing through, just passing time. If I make this yours, and you make it mine, well then we'll see. With golden eyes, so hard to find. There on your own, just passing through, just passing time.
And on Monday, I did have virtual school in the afternoon, and now that we're back to school, I'm all about those quick and easy meals. I love just throwing a bunch of stuff in a pan with some yummy sauces and making a meal out of that. I always just try and make sure I have a source of carbs, fat, protein, and lots of veggies. And then I also try and add a fermented food like kimchi or sauerkraut, and that is kind of how I build my quick and easy lunches.
How can this be life? Every day I will just waste away, saving up.
And I ended up finishing school pretty late on Monday, so I didn't have that much energy to cook dinner. I ended up just sauteing up some edamame and some veggies in a pan, added some more tahini. And then I did have a leftover sweet potato from the weekend, so I warmed that up, added my veggies and edamame, topped it off with some sauerkraut, of course, and that was my dinner.
Daffodil skies, they bloom in the darkest weather. Make up a lie.
And on Tuesday, I had oatmeal again. I basically just get obsessed with a meal and then I'll just keep having it until I get sick of it. But I've also been adding my vitamin D drops to my oatmeal. I always forget to take them, and I just find that adding them to my oatmeal every morning kind of creates a nice routine, and it just kind of reminds me to take them. And I just top that off with some chia seed pudding, some blueberries, and walnuts, and I'm just obsessed with this combination right now.
Speak to me when tides came, did not flee.
And like I said in my last video, I've been trying to wait until after my breakfast to have my coffee. I just find that it really helps with my anxiety. I feel a lot less jittery, and my nervous system just feels a lot more calm if I wait until after breakfast to have my coffee. guess I was just on a really big red cabbage kick this week because I ended up having it a ton, but I just sauteed that up with some balsamic vinegar and tahini. And I also decided to saute up some tofu. I was all out of my coconut aminos though, so I just used tamari instead. And then I had another sweet potato left over in the fridge. We made a bunch of sweet potatoes on the weekend. And I just served that up with my red cabbage, added my tofu, added my sauerkraut, and that was my lunch. Oh, and I added some extra tahini to my sweet potato, of course. And then a little bit later, I did have a cookie as a snack. I made these in my last What I Eat in a Week, so I will link that video for you guys.
About conspiracies on TV. I know the truth and it's so simple. Blame it all on stupid impulse. And I keep living out of my head.
And then for dinner, I decided to make up some veggies and pasta, and I started to make up my silken tofu sauce, and then I realized I didn't have any unsweetened plant milk. Okay, so normally I would blend this with like soy milk or some sort of plant milk, but I only have sweetened soy milk because the store was out of the unsweetened soy milk, and I don't really want to put like sweet soy milk in here. So I'm just going to blend it with water, but if you're making this at home, I would highly recommend blending it with soy milk. I did just end up using some water in the sauce, and it still turned out super creamy. I was pleasantly surprised. And I just added all of my veggies to my pan, added my pasta, some olives, and my sauce. And that was my dinner.
My lies memorized in my heart.
Then on Wednesday morning, I had to replenish my stewed apple supply, so I just chopped up a bunch of apples and cooked those down with some cinnamon. And then, surprise, surprise, I had some more oats with the same toppings. There's no excuse. I was just on a kick that week. Of course, this would not be one of my What I Eat in a Week without a tofu scramble. I did try and switch it up a little bit this week. I added some pinto beans and some salsa, and then I also added some cilantro and lime juice at the end. I'm not sure if I like it any better than my OG recipe. I don't know. The jury is still out, but it was nice to switch it up. I also cut up a avocado. I would give it like a 9 out of 10. There was a little bit that I had to cut out. So I just served up my tofu scramble with my avocado, and that was my lunch.
I'm sick of daydreaming. I just want the feeling of you in my bed.
Now that I'm watching this back, I'm realizing that all of my meals are just kind of variations of each other, but that's basically how I eat all the time. It just makes it so simple and really cuts down on decision fatigue. I did switch up the seasonings. I added some curry powder and garlic powder. I also added some spinach and quinoa, and I just mixed that all up, added some tahini for creaminess, and that was my dinner. It made a ton as well, so I ended up packing some of it for my lunch the next day. Oh, and of course I had to add some kimchi and some more tahini on top.
Always running in my mind. I'm sick of daydreaming. I just want the feeling of you in my bed. Of you in my bed.
And on Thursday, I had to leave for work pretty early, so I just packed my breakfast and my coffee and took that with me. For breakfast, I just packed up some chia seed pudding, and I brought some of my stewed apples and walnuts, and yes, I brought my own bowl to work. I'm just high maintenance like that. And I had my coffee after that, and then I'm super lucky that we have a ton of teas where I work, and I always like to make up a custom blend when I'm at work, and I drink a ton of tea. I don't really show it in my videos because I just drink so much of it, but you guys can just assume that I'm drinking a bunch of tea. A little while later, I just heated up the leftovers from the night before in my mini crock pot, put that in my bowl, and I also brought some sauerkraut with me, and that was my lunch.
It goes without saying, but you're my best friend. My second earth, with kisses like a song so warm.
And then for dinner, I was just feeling some noodles, so I just cooked up some brown rice noodles and sauteed up some onions, mushrooms, carrots, some tofu, and I added those all to a pan along with my noodles. And then for my sauce, I just kind of built it in the pan. I just started with a base of tamari, and then I also added some sriracha for some spice, some maple syrup for a little bit of sweetness, and then of course I added some tahini just to make it a little bit creamier, and that was my dinner. It was kind of like a spicy sesame noodle thing, and I also added some kimchi. And then on Friday, I had to leave for work again pretty early, so I just basically took the same breakfast that I took on Thursday, and I also made a coffee and took that with me. And then for lunch, I basically just scrounged around in the fridge and took whatever I could find. So I added some quinoa, some carrots, some tofu. We had some leftover squash in there as well. I mixed that up. I also added some lentils. Oh, there's some spinach going in there as well. And then for a sauce, I just made up some of my maple mustard tahini sauce, which is basically exactly what it sounds like, but I will leave the full recipe in the description box below. And I just warmed that up in my mini crock pot once I got to work. This thing it's just the best. And of course I added some sauerkraut as well. Gotta get those fermented foods in, and that was my lunch. And then on my way home from work, I picked up some sushi. I had a Zoom date night with my boyfriend. We don't live in the same city, so we both got sushi and we did a little date night. I got a salmon avocado roll, a cucumber avocado roll, and some salmon nigiri. And I also had some wine.
Oh,
Alright, and that was everything that I ate last week. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to like because it really does help out my channel, and let me know in the comments below what you guys want to see more of on this channel. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you can come hang out with me every week, and I'll see you guys in the next video.